Started. All right, guys, listen, we are getting started officially right now. Brent just let us in he let us into our schedule and habits presentation today. And we're going to dive into ways, and we already surveyed the group here. For those of you watching on Facebook, if you want to join us, I'm going to put the link in the chat for the Facebook folks, because we're getting ready to cut that off in a second once we get to our next slide. However, cut that off in a second. Wait, I'm getting the link right now, guys, for you on Facebook. We're going to make sure y'all get exactly what y'all need. Our next slide. Perfect. All right, I'll post it in the chat so y'all have it. And on Facebook, we're going to be diving into schedules and habits, understanding how to truthfully navigate being a solopreneur. Many of us don't consider ourselves solopreneurs. We consider ourselves full-time workers of job A. And then job B, which is real estate, is just, whenever you have time or whenever you are off work. And a lot of times when I'm training agents and I'm working with them, I find that there is no schedule at all. It comes to them and they deal with it as it comes. How many people in here would agree that you deal with stuff, like you deal with the day as it just comes? Like you don't really have a day-to-day ironed out schedule. Just put it in the chat here. I'm curious if we're going to find any truth tellers in the room. Now, I'm going to honestly say that majority of the people in here, from what I'm seeing in the chat, really don't have a crazy schedule laid out. I see Jordan says she does, and knowing that you're in Brittany, so it's funny because you and Brittany, I'm speaking to Jordan and Brittany right now, are in the gym early, super early. And if either of you would unmute yourself, I'm just curious of how that journey really stuck. Like how hard was it to lock in that 5 to 6 a.m. gym time? Was it difficult?
It's very difficult. Very difficult. But once you start seeing results, it don't become as difficult, it becomes easier.
I kind of got to the point where if I don't wake up and go to the gym, my whole day is just messed up. It's not the same. I feel more tired. I feel just my whole day is just ruined, honestly.
The gym starts the day and then it gets you motivated.
Literally, yeah.
That's powerful coming from both of you right there, because we see it, you share it. And by the way, sharing your gym selfies are important because it shows consistency. And one thing that I want you all to know is that your folks are watching. Just as you guys are watching on Facebook, you may not comment, you may not even jump in, you may not even like it, but you're watching and you're seeing, and it's building up in your subconscious about what this person commits themselves to. And this is something that we have to keep in mind as we are venturing into increasing our business. We must think about the public-facing image. What story are we telling about ourselves? Many of us reject posting on social media a lot, going crazy with personal stuff, and I understand it. But in the same breath, we must show, which is why you will always see me talk about this in our early morning role play, share the room, right? Share the room. It's the same thing as what Brittany and Jordan just spoke about of going into the gym in the morning, starting off their day. If I don't role play, I'm thinking about role play, right? I'm thinking about it. Or I'm like, man, like even on Fridays, now that we all go into David Radney's room, sometimes I'm not there, but I'm thinking about it. But this is something where you need to start to implement almost immediately, because this next chapter in real estate is getting ready to be historic, and it will solidify your future in ways that I don't even think you understand. How many people in here feel optimistic about the next 12 months being a real estate agent? Go in the chat. Just put like 0 to 100. Where is your optimism? 100 is like maybe like on my level. Like maybe I'm like a 110 maybe. But a 0 would be like you're getting ready to leave. You don't even know why you're here. Maybe you just like coming in here and hanging out with us. But go in the chat. I want to see what our numbers are in here. Okay. Got a hundo 150. Come on, y'all. Getting that 50-50. Okay. Okay. I like the truth. And be honest in the chat, y'all. Be honest. I want to see those honesty numbers in here. No pun intended for the honest reference right there. Shout out to my man Ed Rogers. We was kicking it last night. Ed's the man. Like, how can you not love Ed, man? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those people. Come on, man. I know good and well we ain't just got 3-4 people in this room. We got 12 people in here. Get into that chat and put it in. You got to learn how to participate. Put yourself, and I know some of y'all could be busy, but, you know, give yourself some time to be not busy. This is why you're here. Getting your schedule and your habits together. 93%, 90%. Okay. Who else? Sharon, how you feel? Brittany, how you feel? Elizabeth, how you feel? Who else we got in here? Trisha, Amber, put your numbers in the chat.
Repeat the question, please.
The question is your level of optimism for the next 12 months of real estate for your business. 100 being the maximum optimism, or 0 being you are leaving the industry on Monday. There we go. See? Participation makes me feel good. All right. Okay. This is good to hear. And I'm glad that these numbers are all over the place, because one of the most important things that we must know is that we control 100% of what happens from this point forward. Wouldn't you agree with that, Mina?
Yes, sir.
100%. All right, let's get into it. Now, I love this slide. I did add a little alteration to it. I felt like peeking through the hole is a very, it's a powerful image, right? Because looking into your business requires you to hold yourself accountable. Requires you to take the blame.
And you guys know I'm really big on you know, self-evaluation and asking questions. And this exercise is really a personal development exercise, but I'm gonna kind of make it real estate related, right? I used to do this personal development exercise where think about if you're like a NCAA tournament or elimination brackets, where you lay out what's really important to you, and then they start going head to head, and you start eliminating them to figure out what's most important to you, right? And where your time should really be spent. So, question is, what's most important in your business? Like, what does it need to have a thriving real estate business? If someone was coming new in the business and they ask you, where do I need to spend my time? What do I need to make to be most important in my business? What would that be? What would you share with them?
Write this stuff down too, by the way, guys.
Learn the
Pen and
document.
paper.
Say that again.
Learn the documents.
Okay, learning documents. I see in the chat leads, listings, and leverage. Okay, so spending time on leads, generating leads, obviously having listings, spending time on that, and leverage, making sure you're efficient, consistency. Okay, what's important in your business? Like, what makes your business thrive? Relationships. Okay, I like that. Learning the documents to feel confident, okay? So spending some time learning, right? Spending time building relationships or nurturing relationships. Spending time generating leads, working on listings, managing your business, making sure you're leveraged. That's what I'm kind of reading from your guys' chat. What else? Anything else?
Growth.
Growth, okay?
Yeah, growth. I think growth is extremely important when you're looking at your business because growth allows you to step away from your business, right? Because when you grow, you get an opportunity to now take back time. That's something that we all, even if we're not admitting it openly, that's something that we all are trying to get back. It's time.
Okay. I love that. I love that perspective. I see also mindset and systems, very important, okay? Being disciplined, being teachable. Let me ask you a few questions before we go to the next slide. What's maybe the most important thing? A full pipeline, okay? So filling that pipeline, Brent, I would say, right? Because it's not going to be full by itself. What would be the most important thing? The one thing that if you're doing, everything else falls into place. Maybe it's one, maybe you need to stretch it to three things. But what's one thing, the one thing that when you're doing, everything else can kind of fall in place?
Consistency.
Okay, for you, that's consistency. Anybody else? One thing, maybe 1 to 3, right? The most important things that if you're doing them or you're doing that, everything else kind of falls into place. Cool. Well, we need to understand what's really important, right? And what's most important. So if you go to the next slide, okay, building proper relationships for Trisha. If you go to the next slide, so here's the question and kind of being real with yourself. Now, where does your time go? You guys all said, you know, what's most important is generating leads, building relationships, right? Building your pipeline, having systems into place, learning the documents. Currently, look at your week, right? We're on Friday. You had Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, if we're going backwards. How was your time spent during these days? Your working hours, right? Not going to go into your family time and all of that stuff. Your working hours, how were they spent? I put that the clock and the wings because we all know time flies, right? You start your day, you get into things before you know it, it's the end of the day, right? It's the evening time, is the time that you gotta unplug and maybe you plug with your family or what have you, okay? Where does your time go? So the big question here is, okay, now we know what's really important, right? You identify what's important to you, and we're gonna get more into that. We also know where you spend your time. The big question is, does it align, right?
Hold on, before we go to where does your time go, how many people in here, you know what, who in here uses screen time as a metric to measure your screen time clearly? How many people in here use screen time to measure their time on their phones? Okay, 1, 2. I know I do. Don't know how to use it. Okay, appreciate that, Sherry. Who else? Okay, Brittany, I'm very surprised you don't use screen time. But that's good to know that you don't, because now you're getting ready to do it. Now, everybody in here has navigation. Oh, wow, Jordan, you don't either. Wow, that's insane. I can make the very first time for closing. Okay. So screen time, I think, Elizabeth, you may be thinking about something different because you mentioned something about your document. So screen time is a measurement.
No,
So-
Sorry,
I'm
that was answering the question that Marina asked.
Oh, I got you. Sorry about that. Yeah, so tracking your screen time, all you need to do, go in your phone, go in your settings, look at your like there, like you can just type it in or ask Siri to pull up your screen time, she'll tell you what it is. You can have it notified. You can set parameters around your social media usage, around your app usage, whatever it is. Okay. And this is very important because once you start to understand the amount of time you're spending on your screen, then you can actually dial it into seeing what you're spending the most time on while you're on your phone. It'll tell you if it's social media, if it's a podcast, if it's whatever it is. So this is one of those pieces where, correct, you can definitely do that. And this is one of those pieces where if you do it, you're going to shock yourself, because some of us don't even realize the amount of times we're on our phone. We just don't even think about it because we're living life. It is what it is. You're an adult. No one's telling you to put your phone down. But if you start to look, you may run into finding out that your numbers are like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a week on your phone. And then majority of that time is on Instagram. And to Mina's point is like, where does your time go? Because if you're going on Instagram so many times per week and you don't have no leads or no pipeline, bingo, you've just now discovered what you need to do. Does that make sense to everybody that's here? Just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. There's also apps. There's an app called Off Time, which basically you can disconnect your social media apps for a certain amount of time, and then you can't log in them. You can turn it off, but you actually need like 10 seconds before you turn it off. So hopefully you rethink that. So there's actually apps where basically you can block yourself from logging into your social media apps, right? So back to the point of where your time goes, right? You know where your time should be spent. You have to be real with yourself and track where your time goes. And the question is, does it align? I'll give you just a personal example. So when we did, this exercise and I had people fill out brackets and essentially, match them up and eliminate them, we would get to a core few, priorities, right? So let's say someone says, my priorities are, God, family, and my business. Okay. Where's your time going? Are you spending your time on those things? Or are you spending your time on, Netflix, socializing, not working on your business, not giving the time to your family and all of this stuff? So same thing here with business. Does it align? If you say, well, it's important for me to build relationships, are you spending time doing that? It's important for me to generate leads. Are you spending time doing that? It's important for me to have a full pipeline. Are you spending time making sure the pipeline is full, right? And it's just a moment of honesty and being real with yourself. Is your time being spent on the things that you say are important to you? And if not, then I want you to just think of one thing where your time could be better spent. So I know generating leads is important. I'm not spending time generating leads. So I need to schedule at least 1 hour a day where I'm prospecting or lead generating, right? Small things, if you do them consistently, they yield big results over time.
And this is also the reason why we have that More Deals Now prospecting campaign going on. This is exactly what, if you have struggled in the past with consistency and prospecting, and remember, prospecting is not limited to only making phone calls. Okay, you can prospect on social media. Prospecting on social media is a really good way to go after growing your presence. Why? Because you're on it anyway. Or maybe it's not Instagram, maybe it's Facebook. So this is why jumping into the More Deals Now prospecting campaign can benefit you, because it gives you that accountability, but also that consistency that you need. We got 2 days a week during the next 11 weeks, 10 weeks of making prospecting calls, contacts, communications.
So I'm gonna ask you guys 2 quick questions, and for ourselves as well, right? It's not on there, and then we'll get to these slides. But is your time, and it's a quick yes or no question, is your time best spent where it should be? So yes or no. And I'll tell you, I'll be the first one to admit, probably not. Probably could be better, right? Right? Is your time best spent where it should be? And for me personally, I probably could do some improvements. Okay, cool. So now that we're honest, and some people are saying no, okay, what's one thing that you could do this coming week to be in better alignment?
Designate a day out of the week, just like if I could start with like maybe 2 days, and I could get it up to 4.
I would say less. So I would say look at the one thing that you're lacking. So if I say lead generation, I'll go back to that example. Lead generation is where I'm lacking, and I know I should be spending time on that. Maybe just do 1 hour or 2 hours, or plug into our prospecting sessions, 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 days a week. 1 hour a day, or 1 hour, 2 days a week, whatever it is, right? What's one thing you could do to be in better alignment? So I'll give you non-real estate examples. If I say my faith is really important, me reading and learning and growing is very important, but I'm not dedicating any time for that. One very small things I could do is maybe read 15 minutes a day, right? Spend 15 minutes learning or growing in something that I want to grow in, whether that be my faith, whether that be a subject. 15 minutes a day, right? Not a huge commitment. But if you do 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, every day of the week, you learn more than currently you're not doing anything, right? And if you decide that 10, 15 minutes can grow into a half hour to an hour, whatever it may look like for you, okay? I'll give you another example. People always say family is very important to me. And I remember doing a similar exercise when I was a college student. And I said, family is very important to me, right? Staying in touch with my parents is very important to me. And it was doing the simple things, making sure I call when I was away at college, right? Making sure I call my mom, maybe daily if I can, or multiple times a week. And that call to her probably meant more than trying to send a gift or flowers or something like that, right? In my busy world, letting her know that she's important to me, I care about her. So being conscious, being mindful of, hey, making sure on my walk from class to class, I give my mom a call really quick, right? So I'm tying it back to life because, you can do the same thing with life. What's really important to you in life, right? Where are you spending your time? Is it being spent in the best way? What's maybe one small thing you can do to better align where you say your priorities are with what you're actually doing? And it could be making a phone call to that one person on a weekly basis or daily basis. It could be spending 10, 15 minutes reading something, right? It could be prospecting for 1 hour a day, whatever that may mean. Hopefully you guys are thinking about these questions and how it applies to you in your life and in your business. That's why I'm kind of giving you these examples.
That's some good examples right there. And I love how you brought it to life, right? Because life is extremely short, number one. So being conscious, being present is extremely important. But that conscious quote, like not quote, but that statement that you just made about, in between classes, giving a call to mom, that can be represented as in between showings, giving a call to a lead or following up with somebody. And you can build that into a situation where you're not missing time. Because some of us are in the car a lot. And while we're in the car, a lot of us listen to music. Some of us could be using that time to listen to a podcast about, something that have to do with real estate or something that have to do with economics, or maybe using that time in the car to make phone calls. So these little small changes that you are mentioning, Mina, and comparing it to life, I feel like it makes more sense when you see it, because again, it's very difficult to maintain that mindset day in and day out. So being reminded of how simple a maneuver like that really is powerful.
Yeah, and it can be, right? Small things done over a long time make a big difference, right? So again, I'll ask you guys, and then we'll go to the next slide. What's one thing you could do to be in better alignment with the things that you say are important to you, right? And I hope that each of you kind of thinks of something, and it doesn't, again, have to be grand, just one thing that gets you closer to where you want to be, right? Cool. So in real estate, right? Really where you're spending time on is probably one of these things. You're lead generating, or you're following up, you're having appointments and consultation, you're servicing the clients, you're making offers, you're negotiating offers, or you're handling your business operations, right? Let's go to the next slide, right? And I'm going to go through this kind of one by one, mainly touch on the big pillars. The first big thing is lead generating, right? You should be spending time generating new business or new leads. There are many different ways to do it. Prospecting, just plugging into our prospecting sessions one way, showing up, 80% of the work showing up, show up, prospect, generate new leads, okay? The second thing, you're following up. So you touch base with somebody, right? You might not convert them right away. It takes nurturing, it takes follow-up, right? And the whole point of generating leads and follow-up is to get to a concrete appointment, to a consultation, right? Which is the next thing, and where you're making that person now your client. You're setting up an appointment, you're going over the value that you provide, you're going over their needs, and the objective of that appointment or that consultation is to create a client. Now, once you have a client, you're servicing that client, right? If it's a listing client, you're getting their home ready for sale. You're doing a CMA, right? You're preparing their home to list. If it's a buyer client, you're taking them out showings, right? And you're picking the right home for them to make an offer on. Then you're making offers and you're negotiating offers, which is something that only you can do. You can outsource some of the admin work, right? You can outsource some lead generation efforts. You can outsource paperwork, but a lot of the offers, negotiating, you're probably handling that. And you're also dealing with your business operations. You're making sure your business is run effectively. So these are really the time blocks or the time categories where your time should go. So you might say, well, I currently don't have any clients, so I'm not currently working on any offers or negotiating. Okay. I don't have any appointments or consultations set up. Okay. So now you made things actually easier on yourself, because here's where your time should be spent. Next slide, right? Your time should be spent on lead generation and follow-up. Oh man, I think I wanted to do that manually so I can go back. But if you don't have any clients, you're not handling offers and negotiations, you're not taking clients out showings, you're not prepping any listings to go to market, you don't have any consultations or appointments set up, then really you want to focus on those first two buckets, your lead generation and your follow-up. And if you do that consistently, if every day or every week you're lead generating and you're following up, there's very high chances your efforts are going to lead to now appointments and consultations being scheduled. Out of those appointments and consultations, now you're going to get clients. Out of those clients, you're going to need to service them. You're going to make offers. You're going to negotiate. You're going to get to closing, right? So without your lead generation and your follow-up, the next few things don't come into play. And without those things, then you won't really have a much thriving business or sustainable business to operate, right? Javier?
So let's dive into that real quick, because what you're saying and what you're laying out here, everybody in here, how many people here understand every single one of these slides, these pieces of the circle? You have a good understanding. Just put something in the chat. or if you don't have an understanding of a particular box. Talk about it. Because we oftentimes, when we go over stuff like this, we assume that you understand what lead generation means. We assume that you understand what negotiation and offers mean. Put it in the chat. If there's a box up here, you can put the color, you can put the box, whatever it is. Just want to make sure, because as we are going through this, I want to reiterate the importance of starting right here at the lead generation spot and working our way around, but more or less of understanding the fact of the time, because we're going to get into time blocking in a second. But does everybody understand every single aspect of what is on the screen here? Communicate. This is why you're here. You're not here to sit through another training without answering stuff. Get in the chat or unmute yourselves. I want to know. Biz operations, Sherry, okay. So when you're looking at the business operation side of things, how would you categorize that, Mina?
Yeah, so it's really having an effective and efficient business. So let's say you're doing marketing, right? You're sending out postcards, you're sending out mailers, you're doing calls, you're making Facebook ads. You got to track these things and see, okay, well, how much am I spending, right? What am I doing? Is it effective or is it not? Okay, that's a part of business operations. You're working on your business versus in your business. Okay, you're seeing, okay, well, what opportunities do I have in front of me? What campaigns am I doing, right? What events do I need to create and promote in the next few months, in the next year? This all kind of business operations. You're operating on your business versus kind of in your business, right? Cool.
100%. 100%. Now, here's where I want everybody to start to focus up. Number one, you got to put a time slot on all of this stuff. You should have this written down. So take this challenge today and use this as a moment to write this out. Now, we're gonna be done with this presentation shortly because we want to condense these into an hour. However, for those of you watching this, press pause, grab a piece of paper and grab a pen, and I want you to write this out. I want you to write this out very simply. Lead generate, follow up, appointments, consultations, client service, admin, processing of the deal, offers and negotiations, business operations. And when you write them out, I want you to now give it space on that paper and break down what that looks like. What does it look like to lead generate? Phone calls, door knocking, social media. What does it look like to follow up? After a day, after a week, after a month? What does it look like? What does the act of following up for you even mean? Because here is what a lot of us, we have to start to focus on. Don't just look at the screen and say, oh yeah, this is another pie chart or circle graph that's going to express to me how an easy button is going to save my life. It's not. These points are vital for understanding how to get to the next level. And we need to now look at this and look deeper, have explanations for how we're going to execute each one of these spots. Now, Sherry, you put in the chat, you didn't understand it. Mina broke it down, and now you got it. If anybody else here have any questions on how to break down what you see in front of you, this is the time to ask, because guess what? You're going to go off and finish this master class and go right back to doing what you're doing. And if you don't see no changes and you didn't ask any questions, you see where I'm going with this? This is the time for you to say, well, Javier or Mina, appointments or consultations, I'm not sure about that one. Do I need to have those before I show the house or after I show the house? Which one is better, right? Client service and admin processing. Well, should I hire a conveyancer or should I go with the TC from the Philippines? Because that's what I'm hearing people do. You need to know how to execute. It's very simple. But like we always say, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you. So
Well,
let's
it's interesting you say it's pretty simple, and we're gonna even make it simpler in the next few slides.
Yep.
But then I'd love to know, because everybody said pretty much in the chat that their schedule is not, being spent the best way, right? So if it is very simple, and once we get to a few slides, but we'll ask later, if it is very simple, what's missing? Why, if it is very simple, why is it not aligned well? Why is it not better aligned, right? What could you do? What could we do to make that change happen? If it is that simple.
Unless we're on a call with nothing but billionaires, and if that's the case, then we need to let y'all run the show, because I want y'all to engage. Sharon, right? I want y'all to engage because I want to help. Mina and I want to help. We love educating, but we want to make sure that you are here getting your cup filled. I want your cup to be runneth over. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep going, because this is a package deal, and we're putting this out for later on usage. All right. So y'all already know, once you start seeing the octopus, you mean you're going to now get the different type of perspective, because Mina provides so much of that inspiration and that lightning bulb moment that we all need. And I like to pair it up with just a little bit of push towards the same things that we talk about, but in a different kind of a way. So in the chat, it's up to you if you want to do it, because I know we only got a couple people in here active on the chat. How many people in here write down their goals the night before? Okay. How many people in here write down their goals the night before? Like, you want to accomplish this, this, and this, and this tomorrow. Okay. So if you answered, I don't, or you're thinking that, but you just couldn't get to the text, this is one of those key factors that is going to instantaneously change the way. Okay. This is going to change the way you tackle your day. Okay. And I want you to think about this. If you are a nighttime shower person, where you take your showers before bed, some people take a shower when they wake up, which is why I'm saying nighttime shower person. Think about what you want to do the next day while you're in the shower. Now, I'm not going to go too far into the deep end, but there is a correlation to how you think to being in the shower. You can look up that, research that all you want, but there is a correlation to the free flowing of your mind and your thinking while in a shower. Okay, so think about what you want to accomplish tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. Tomorrow's Saturday. Think about what you want to accomplish. Write it down today. When this day is over, when we're done here, grab you a piece of paper and write down. I want to go to the gym. I want to walk 2 miles. I want to follow up with my client. I want to call my grandma. I want to call my mom. I want to call my... Write everything down that you want to accomplish for Saturday and watch what happens. Okay? Now, the Google Calendar is an ace in the hole, especially when you're looking to raise your value instantaneously. Okay? Now, if you called a friend, well, I'm not going to go into any crazy analogies because I can go wild with this one, but here's what I want you to think of. Okay? Think of the CEO of Pepsi. If you ran into the CEO of Pepsi in a grocery store and you were like, hey, let's go to lunch. Let's go to lunch next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. What are the chances of the CEO of Pepsi saying, absolutely, 1 o'clock Tuesday, me and you? Pretty slim, right? Why? Because what are they going to do? What's the first thing that CEO is going to do when you ask about meeting with them at a particular time and date?
They're going to write it down.
They might. But what else they going to do before they write it down? Because I'm saying you're the CEO.
You want to check their schedule.
They're going to check their schedule. most people say that as a defense. Because they don't want to say, no, oh, let me check my schedule. I don't know. I might have something to do. I don't know, because I want to tell you no, but I'd rather tell you no from a distance rather than tell you no in your face. Let me check my schedule. Now, let's think about this from a boundaries perspective. Okay? Somebody, a buyer comes to you, or a seller comes to you, or anybody comes to you and say, Brittany, let's go out to eat next Wednesday, or let's go see this house next Tuesday at 1:00. Now, you may go open up your schedule and find out that, hey, you don't have no availability, but you do have availability on this date. Instead of you knee-jerking and saying, boom, let's go right ahead and do it. Because, again, you don't have a schedule written out. This is how, and I've seen you write that in the chat earlier, Trisha, this is how you're stuck dealing with little rocks. Now, Trisha, that may not be applicable to your situation when you mentioned the word little rocks. But what I'm saying is, if you don't have a schedule written out, you're allowing your day to run you. But when you have a schedule written out, you're now running the day. Am I making sense to y'all? Just want to make
Yes.
sure.
I understand
For
that,
the
but
work.
do you have to do the goals the night before if you
Every
like do
night.
it if the week before? No, the week on
You
like
can
on a
do it for
Sunday
the
for the
week.
week.
Yeah, you could do it for the week on Sunday. But again, what happens on Monday, you might run into some new goals that you're going to need to write down anyway. You may run into somebody on Monday that changes your whole schedule. Why? Because they're worth it. And now you got to rewrite it. So if you do it for the week, yeah, do it for the week. But for people who are just getting used to it, do it every night. Make it a habit.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I'm gonna touch on this in the next slide, but I do it for the week, and then I look at it the night before again, because things are fluid. Things might change, things might become a priority. So do it for the week and then look at it the day before. My suggestion.
100%. I love it. If you are struggling with this now, doing it for the day is going to help, but doing it for the week is also going to help. But the key word in here is do it. All right, you got to do it. Don't think for 1 second you can handle this, because you can't. How many people you think can handle being a public official or being a president of anything? You think you can handle it because you're criticizing. Think about sports. Some of y'all watch sports. You think you can handle being a coach? You talk like you could because you in the crib by yourself, comfortable. But when you in that heat of the moment, they got to make decisions. So do you. So you need to make sure you're preparing and acting as if. So role play and script practice. Y'all already know how I feel about this. Every single one of y'all need to step your game up. Every single one of y'all need to step your game up. I'm going to say it one more time. Every single one of y'all need to step your game up, period. And I'm saying this with love. And y'all know I'm in that room every day. And I'm telling myself that. Step your game up. It's not a game anymore. You need to know how to convey your value. I don't want to hear you afraid. I don't want to hear you're nervous. That's old. That's over with. Why? Because this is your time to shine. If you're afraid, go and role play with us. Get that fear out, because that fear ain't going nowhere. It ain't. It's only going to grow. Okay? And the boogeyman is real. I'm letting you know that right now. You may think you're going to escape and run around and still do what you normally have done in the past. Those days are over. And if you don't believe it's over, wait till you start seeing what happens in the next 6 months. So what I need you to do is I need you to say to yourself, because you're a little nervous or uncomfortable about practicing and role playing, ask yourself this question right here. If $1 million listing called you today, would you know what to do? And for those of you who are in markets where $1 million is entry level, take it up to 10 million just to make it make sense for you. Are y'all feeling what I'm telling y'all? Because again, I want to make sure you all are understanding precisely what I'm talking about. Because again, if you're here, if you are here, you know the caliber of which we're bringing to the table. This ain't no Fisher Price act here. You understand? This ain't no run-of-the-mill trainer that you're dealing with right here. You're dealing with a practitioner, and you're dealing with practitioners because Mina does it as well. But the way we conduct our business is very, very precise. Want to make sure we're on the same page, y'all. Just very, very carefully. Let's climb through this thing here. Mina, hit him with the 7+ management tips, please.
I was unmuted. Yeah, so I wanted to kind of give you guys some tips that are relevant, and obviously there's a lot of tips. And here's the thing. I talked to a lot of real estate agents, and my experience included why a lot of real estate agents' schedule get thrown off is because we're very responsive, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? Something comes up, somebody calls us, somebody sends us an email, somebody wants to go see a house, somebody needs information on a house. We respond to that, right? And that then controls our schedule. Am I right, or am I off here?
100%.
Right. So a lot of agents, why they can't wrap their mind around having a schedule is they say, well, my schedule changes every day. I'm at the mercy of the clients. But you're not necessarily. You can set boundaries. You can set time blocks, right? You can set certain things where you can control your schedule and still be flexible enough to serve your clients and not miss out on any opportunities, right? So here's a few tips. 1, plan your week before it starts. A lot of people suggest plan your week the Friday before. So we're on Friday right now. So after this meeting, pull out your calendar, and the easiest way to plan it is through your calendar. Pull out your calendar and see what you have coming up next week, okay? And then plan the things that are important to you. We talked about what's important to you. You should all have thought about, and the things that are important to you in your business. So pull those, pull out your calendar and put those things on your calendar. Last training, I think Javier challenged each of you to say, schedule your prospecting time on your calendar for next week and send him an invite. Add him. So if, for example,
how many people you think, real quick, how many people you think did that?
0.
Only one person.
Okay, well, that's good. That's better than 0.
Just letting y'all know.
Cool. So, if you said, for example, lead generation is important to me, I know I should be blocking time out for lead generation, but I'm currently not. Take out your phone right now, open your calendar, scheduling prospecting sessions, right? Or time for lead generation next week. At least 1 hour. If you can do it 2 hours, if you can do it 2 or 3 hours multiple times a week, that's great. But plan out your week before it starts, whether you're doing it on a Friday, whether you're doing it Sunday night. But basically, take out your calendar and plan your week before you begin your week. Why? Because a lot of times we wake up and we're like, well, what do I have going on today? And you spend a lot of time, or you waste a lot of time not really getting to it. But if you have things on your calendar, you just show up and you get to it right away. It takes a lot less decision-making, a lot less time, idle time, okay? So number 2 is get it on your calendar. You might have heard people say, I live by my calendar. When I'm talking to somebody and we're planning the next meeting, I usually say, well, let me look at my calendar. And I pull up my calendar and we get it right on the calendar. Because if it's on the calendar, I'm showing up to it. If it's not on the calendar, it may easily fall through the cracks or get easily forgotten. So get it on the calendar, right? That could be appointments or meetings with you and other people, but that could also be commitments to yourself. I need to take some time to lead generate. I need to take some time to follow up. I need to take some time so I can read on these recent NAR settlements. Put all of those in your calendar, right? If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist, right, Trisha? 3, it's a good advice I heard a while ago, protect your mornings. And this is very specific also to real estate. Protect your mornings. A lot of times when agents want to prospect and they say, well, I don't know when I'm going to have time because I'm out doing showings, I'm meeting with clients. So it's whatever the client's schedules are. But you can set boundaries. You can say, okay, in the morning hours, I'm going to lead generate and I'm going to follow up. And then in the afternoon hours, I'm going to go do showings, client meetings, and so on. So when someone calls you for a showing, right? Most showings aren't really happening in the morning anyway, unless that client has a certain number of hours. But the bulk of showings are happening afternoon, right? After 12 p.m. in the evening and weekends. So when someone calls you for a showing, you can say, that's great. How about these times? Or would you be available to go this time or this time? And you give them options that suit your schedule. Okay? Protect your mornings. The mornings can really be for you generating new business, for you following up and nurturing relationships. And then you have the afternoon to go to be more flexible, right? To go out on showings and appointments and, you know, handle transactions, put out fires, deal with the small rocks, do all of that. But protect your mornings and focus on the things that you know you need to do to move the needle forward for you. Start every morning, number 4, start every morning with understanding what's most important. So if there was only one thing you would do today, what would it be? If you could only get one thing done, what's the most important thing you need to get done? What's that one non-negotiable? Do you have, maybe you have the same thing every morning. Maybe every day I need to reach out to 10 people, 20 people, whatever the number is. Maybe that's your one thing. What's the one most important thing that you need to do work-wise every day? Okay. When you look at your day, how many of you set like 10 things to do or 12 things to do, and you might only get to like 3 or 5 of them?
Sure.
Am I the only one? No? Okay. How many of you set a list of things to do, but you might only get to a few of them? Okay. So a few of you. So it's okay. It happens. It's human nature. It happens to most people. I actually read an article about some of the top CEOs, and it said, I think they only hit like 30+% of their goals, right? The idea is some people just set goals that are very ambitious, and they might not get to all of them, right? I'm looking at my charger because I think my computer might die soon, but we'll keep going here. So the idea is, out of the list of things, if you're ambitious, if you're an entrepreneur, you probably have a lot of things that you want to get done, okay? And realistically, you might not get them done every day. But if you don't do that, what are the most important things? What are the top 3 things that you need to get done? So you should have one thing, right? That's the most important thing to get done, and you get that done. And you should have the top 3 things, like 3 really big wins or 3 really big accomplishments, 3 things that if you do, then you're satisfied for the day, right? You can still get the other things done, but if you're someone who sets a lot of goals and you know yourself, and you realistically don't get to all of the things, then at least know what the big rocks are that you need to hit.
So,
right?
so Mina, so what you're saying is basically,
I'll go get my charger while you do that.
no problem. So basically what it sounds like is you're saying that when we write stuff down that we have to do, you're saying to identify the top 3 things in your entire day and isolate those things, basically. That's what it sounds like. You're saying.
Yeah, I get it. So yeah, that's what I get too.
I
And
like
it sounds
that idea.
make a must-do list instead of a to-do list.
Yeah, no, but I think it's like when you do it that way, you're like, okay, so for example, Monday, you got to do big appointment, closing, and do follow-up, top 3, right? And then the rest of the stuff you lay out. But and I think what he's getting to, and I think when he gets back, it's going to help confirm this, but sometimes if you don't get to all of those other items and you focus solely on those top 3, your success rate is going to go up, but then your satisfaction rate also goes up, because how many people in here have had moments where you're laying your head down at night and you feel like you didn't do shit? Like who's honest enough in here right now to have ever felt that before? Like you just didn't do shit.
Me.
You was not productive today. It just
I
didn't,
agree.
right? Y'all know that feeling, right? And it don't, and only you feel it though. You know what I mean? Like only you feel it. And you know it. And this is why sometimes you get irritable. People, because you mad at yourself, really, right? You know you need more deals. And it's even worse when you get around family who really, they know you're in real estate. How's the market? How's it going? And you know you haven't done what's needed, and it's just compounding. So this is really clever of how he's writing it out as far as the top 3 things, because I always write, well, I try to always write my to-do stuff down on, and the reason why I say try, because it took me so long to get it down packed. I just buy these from Amazon. If you can see my screen, I buy these planners from Amazon, and I just fill them up with all kinds of stuff that I have going on. But what ended up happening that I found is that I oftentimes write stuff on here, or I write some notes on there that'll be something I'll follow up with a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, where it'll say, call John, talk about deal. And then possibly I didn't talk to him, I didn't get him on the phone. And then I may be open for an hour on the following week. And I'm like, you know what? Let me go back, see what I had last week that wasn't done. Right. Or I want to do a follow-up, something of those natures. But if you have it written down, you can always, and then you can go back. And Mina, when you come back, I want to know if you want to do this. And we did this before, but at the end of the year, how many of you at the end of the year go back to see where all your deals came from? Like you write it out. It came from Sphere of Influence. It came from Instagram. It came from the coffee shop. It came from the bar. Like how many people in here have taken that and wrote down where your deals come from?
I have done it. I actually just did that with Katie Tour.
Okay.
It tells you can name when you put the client down, like is it a prospect, is it a rental, sales, did you close it? And I did go back and put which ones I closed and where I got them from.
Okay. And that right there by itself allows you to now double, quadruple down on that source, right? If you know 40% of your deals come from Instagram, well, guess what? You're going to be focusing on first quarter of 2025, Instagram, right? So it's these measurements that really allow us to take our business to the next level, because the formula is written in, like we all have a formula, right? Everybody on this call, you have a formula to get to your optimal self. I'm talking, you can deal with any problem, you can talk to anybody, you can make anybody smile. Like you're vibrating at a frequency that you can't be stopped. And for Jordan and Brittany, the two awesome gym folks in here, y'all know what I'm talking about, because you've been in the workout before where you're feeling just like a god. Like you literally can just, like, you are literally just crushing it, and you're controlling your breathing, and you're still killing it. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, indeed.
You know what I'm saying? And that feeling is like something that is like an out-of-body experience. Like it's called, what we call it in the anime world, and I do watch anime, Dragon Ball Z anime only, we call it ultra instinct. And what that is your body is reacting before your mind reacts. And it sounds crazy, but this is where you need to get to. I'm sorry?
Can I say something? So
Yeah,
that's so true, because like when I'm cycling and the mirror is like right in front of me, and like if I'm on like a hard level or something, say like we sprinting, I will sprint, won't stop, but then I want to stop so bad, but in the back of my head, I'm telling myself, if you stop, you're not going to get that listing. Or if you stop, you're not going to make it to the transaction table. And that really do be pushing me, because I be talking to myself the whole time just to finish. So it is like it is a true fact.
It is. And that's crazy how you do it though, because that pushes you and your heart rate goes up. And it's just the stuff that we have to, like we need to be more cognizant of what our formula truly is. Like, what is our formula to get to that moment, right? And then once you found your formula, then now you can recreate it. Now you can become the Mickey D's of your business, meaning I can go from North Philly all the way to Compton and go to McDonald's and have the same French fry taste the same exact way, right? That's the formula that we want to get to. But to jump back on in this, man, I wanted to just emphasize on that top 3, man. That was nice.
Yeah. I mean, and as Trisha said, it's a list of must-dos, right? Not just have-to-dos. Here is at least what I noticed in my schedule and other agents' schedule that I talk to. Sometimes, we have a schedule laid out and then we get calls, right? We get text messages, we get emails, we get things that come up, so we deal with them. And then our day's thrown off, okay? Or we dedicate half hour or an hour to one deal to work on, and we end up running into more issues, and we have to call more people, and it takes us longer, right? And before we know it, several hours fly by, our day is almost ending. You guys feel that way at any time? Anybody? Okay, cool. I see some head nods. Right. So a lot of times I'm looking at my to-do list or the things I have to do and my calendar and say, okay, well, what? Okay, now, this thing took longer than it needed to. What do I really need to get done? And I check in with myself, like even at lunchtime and my lunch break, I look at my schedule, I look at the afternoon. Okay, well, maybe my day isn't going the way it's supposed to be. What do I need to make sure I get done this afternoon so I take care of the most important things, right? So that's where like the top 3 things come in, understanding the things that you really need to get done. You might have an offer that you're working on, a transaction that you're working on, other things will get in the way, but before you clock out, per se, what needs to get done, right? And I think it's good to keep those things top of mind because you might not get time for everything else, right? Time blocking, which Javier is going to go into next, is really the core of kind of where your calendar starts, right? Blocking out the things that you say are most important to you and making time for that. Tracking and adjusting. You should, and I do, almost every day and every week, look at, okay, how did I spend my time? Okay, what do I need to do different? Even middle of the day, I look at, okay, well, what was I planning to get done this morning? What did I actually get done? Now, what does my afternoon look like? And I might need to shift my afternoon so I can make sure I focus on the most important things, and maybe other things I planned to do, they're no longer as important because there is no time for it, right? So tracking how you're spending your time, making adjustments every week and even midday are very important. And at the end of it, give yourself some grace. You might start the day with like, I want to get these 10 things done. And then you start with 1, 2, and then number 2, maybe you're dealing with a transaction and that transaction ends up taking half of your day, right? And then you end up getting one more thing done before you have to finish up for the day. It's okay. I mean, it's not okay to do every day, but if you were productive, right? If you were putting an honest effort, right? If you were taking care of things that are important, it's okay. Give yourself some grace, right? There's going to be a next day. You can adjust and come back the next day and take care of what needs to get done then. I feel sometimes if you're ambitious, if you put a lot on your to-do list, on your schedule, on your boards, there's never enough time in the day. Anybody feels that way?
Clearly.
Cool. So if you feel that way, you have to almost get to a point where you accept the fact that you're probably not going to get it all done, right? And there's just going to have to be constant adjusting, tracking, better planning, and more acceptance of what reality is, right? But also more emphasis of the needing to focus on the things that are even most important, right? So that you can move the needle forward and faster for you. If that makes sense, I hope that makes sense. Right?
Definitely does. But one of the things that I want to add on to number 8 is that And you all should be taking a picture of this or writing it down. You know, if you don't start today, you won't be starting tomorrow. That's number one. Number two is I need y'all to recognize the simple fact of giving yourself some grace. What that really stems from is stop comparing yourself to others. You're comparing your page 3 with somebody's page 15. You shouldn't do it. All right. Understand what you don't understand. And what is that? You don't understand what and how they got to where they are. Right? How did they get there? You don't know. And unless you know, you still shouldn't even be comparing yourself to others. So give yourself some grace. It's extremely important. So I want to share this with you all as a quick consistency tip, especially for those of you who are here right now. And for those of you watching this, make sure that you are taking full advantage of our prospecting worksheet. This is going to allow you to have more control over boundaries and control over prospecting. And what I mean by that is right here, you can write out your prospecting goal. Maybe it's 1 listing, maybe 2 listings, maybe a couple of buyers, whatever the case may be. Write that down so you know what your goal is. Your time range slots is going to be, let's just say before you make a phone call, you need to open up your calendar to see when you're free. And if you know you're free Saturday, 11 to 1, Sunday you're off, Monday, 2 to 5, write those numbers in here. Like write them in here. Because when you start making phone calls and you're immediately telling them my next availability, or I will be in your area tomorrow between 11 and 1, could I stop by around 12? Now, the reason why that flows off the tongue so easily is because A, I know what times are written here, or B, I've already made 10 or 15 calls and I just know what to say because I've been practicing it. Listen, y'all, if you don't practice, then you're going to continue struggling. That's a fact. Okay? We also took the time to put in here your water intake. Big reminder, if you're not hydrated and not taking care of yourself, you're going to be irritable, you're going to be fatigued, and if you're talking on the phone long enough, you're going to have dry ass mouth. I can guarantee you none of those things are going to result in an appointment. So this is why we put this here to remind you. All right? Review your USP, unique sales proposition. So who in here want to share their unique sales proposition? Just unmute yourself. We got too many real estate agents in here for this to be too quiet. Don't be scared. What do you do differently? Oh, I'm allergic. I'm allergic to the scaredness. Come on, y'all. Can y'all hear me? Is my mic working? Let me know if y'all can hear me. The silence is not going to save you. I can promise you that. Can y'all hear me? Y'all can hear me, right? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, so it's not my audio. Meaning you can hear me, right? Right? Brent, you can hear me? Okay, cool.
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, listen, y'all. Listen, I'm telling y'all, I tell y'all this with love, okay? But I want y'all to understand something. You run around here trying to increase your business, you can't spit off immediately what your unique sales proposition is. That's going to be Exhibit A when they're reviewing the exit of real estate when you decide to throw in your tag. Exhibit A, what's your USP? I don't know. I'm a good person. I like people. I go to the church down the street. I pay my taxes. I don't know. Right? We need to know. Everybody in here, you should that when I said that question, there should have been 5 people jumping in talking about what they do immediately. And if we're not at that point, we're behind. It's not me saying that. Look at your bank account. All right. Now, a little bit further on this sheet here, we broke down the people you need to follow up with. Write it down here. Now, the reason why we have this piece of paper is very simple. So you can have some form of tracking how many phone calls it takes for you to get an appointment. Because if you don't know how many calls it takes to get an appointment, then how are you going to increase the level of business if you don't know what it takes to get to that success? Don't tell me, oh, I got successful because I had a good year, or maybe your friends and family finally gave you a shot because they felt sorry for you. I don't want to hear that, because you can't duplicate that. You can't duplicate that. You only got one circle of influence. You got multiple, but you know what I'm saying. All right? So take this document here and start to use it. If you don't, you know what's coming afterward. But if you do, you're going to start to be able to understand your formula. How many calls it takes to get to a listing, how many listing it takes to get to a closing, how many closing it takes to get to your yearly salary, how many yearly salary it takes to retire. This is formula-driven mathematics. Anybody have any questions real quick before we move on? Because I'm telling y'all, y'all got to step up your vocals. I'm letting y'all know right now. Once I got back into doing listings full time, y'all, I'm here to love on y'all, but I'm letting y'all know the quiet is not going to be something for me personally that I'm going to continuously run into, because when I feel like I'm talking to myself, I got a very zero tolerance mentality when it comes to training. And if I'm giving you this information and you don't understand it, you got to speak up. If you do understand it, just say, yo, Hav, we already get this shit, bro. Go to something different. And then I move over to something different. But if I'm here. It's a Friday. I'm here. Trust me, the value that y'all getting surpasses anything you can find on the market. And that's a guaranteed fact. And I want everybody to understand this very clearly. You don't have to be here at all. But when you're here, you want to make sure you're pushing yourself. And I'm telling you this out of sheer love, but also out of competitiveness. Because if you're not here to grow, then you need to start exiting out of real estate, because you're not going to be saved. Nobody's going to hold your hand. Now, your broker is not going to talk to you like this. They're going to want to treat you like, you know, you a little baby and tell you it's going to be okay. Just follow the broker rules. Okay? So I'm letting y'all know from my heart that I'm telling y'all right now, next time we come here next Friday, I want to hear some questions. I want to hear some participation, or we're going to just end this right here, right now, and we all can, you know what I mean? I'm telling y'all. Pay attention.
Question, can I share this sheet in the chat with them?
What'd you say?
Can I share this file in the chat?
Absolutely. Please share it up. Hope y'all paying attention to what I'm laying out. Very, very, very zero tolerance kind of guy. And it's that time that y'all got to get busy. So he's sharing the file with y'all real quick, and we're going to be finishing up in a minute. All right? Getting pumped up over here. I got some things I got to accomplish today. It's Friday, y'all. I'm telling y'all, I'm trying to help you. You know what I mean? I'm trying to help you out here in these streets. It's wild out here. And if you ain't ready, it is what it is. So time block king. Now we could do time block queen too, because we got a lot of females on the call as well. But we wrote time block king because it works with time blocking. Anyway, so what I'm here to tell y'all is this. All right. Many of y'all have failed to control the boundaries of your life. And time blocking is going to help you do that. And it's not going to be you that says no. It's going to be your schedule that says no. Okay. So we need to get into the routine of creating that boundary respectably. Right. You need to be able to tell your folks, your friends, your family, your coworkers, no. Because I got to do this. So make sure that you understand clearly of why we're hyper-focused on time blocking. A, boundary creation. B, generating more business. C, allows you to have consistency. And D, allows you to separate yourself from all the competition of all the regular agents out there that don't take this seriously at all. Cool? Cool. Meaning, you got any last words on this?
No, I would just say, again, what's most important to you, put it on your calendar. if you say, hey, I need to generate business, I need to reach out to people, look at your calendar and plug in a few time slots next week where you're reaching out to people. You can join us 9:30 to 11:30 Tuesdays and Thursdays, or just do your own sessions, but put it on your calendar and show up and do it. I did have a few more slides after this, some questions I want to leave them with, but go ahead.
Yeah, so basically going into, if you don't start today, you won't start tomorrow. That's just more of the mentality I want to leave y'all with. It's very important, right? You got to understand that you got to start this. We've been on this journey for a very long time. Many of you have seen the vision come true, and you also have seen the struggles that we've trampled over, because there are no real struggles in this world, only those that which you believe to be struggles. But you got to fight your way out of it. So as much as you hear me screaming and yelling about participation and about making sure that you are putting forth the effort, this is all about what you want. I can't force you to do what it takes to get to that level. I can't. There's no way possible. I don't even care about doing it. Why? Because your life is your life. We all got to go. We all got to go one day. So we got to live on our own terms, and I respect that. But I'm here to tell you that don't fool yourself believing that there is a tomorrow. Okay? Because if you do that, then you're always going to find reasons not to do what you need to do.
Yeah, so I just have two last questions for you. One is, I mean, you see this post, it says distractions, traction, action, right? You have to remove some things to remain within the right thing. I remember one of my podcast episodes, I asked an agent, I said, what were the things that you did, right, that made the most impact in your business? And he said to me, it wasn't so much the things I did, it was the things I stopped doing, right? So right now, you may have distractions. You may have little rocks that take up the space, your time in your day. What are those distractions? Maybe you're doing the right things, but you're also doing things that maybe you shouldn't be doing, right? They're just really distractions. What are the things that you should remove from your day so that you can be better aligned with the things that you say are more important to you or most important to you? Maybe is stop scrolling through Instagram during my lunch break. Maybe is stop, whatever it is, right? One thing or a few things that you should remove from your day that are really just a distraction. What is that one thing for you? So hopefully, maybe you have something, maybe you don't, but if you do, then hopefully you acknowledge it. The last question I'm gonna ask you, and I say this in a lot of trainings, unapplied knowledge is simply entertainment. Unapplied knowledge is simply entertainment. I feel, it's not, I feel that today we've given a lot of stuff, right? But none of it means anything if it's in one ear and out the other. So out of everything we went through today, what's one thing that you're actually gonna do? And some of you mentioned it in the chat earlier, right? But as a result of the things that was shared here today, what's one thing you're gonna do different next week? And I challenge myself and Javier to also think about those things, right? So please chime in the chat, anybody, one thing
Actually,
you're gonna do.
For me, stick to the script, because I do have a calendar that I write on. And sometimes I'll write in the beginning of the week, or sometimes I'll write day by day. But I'll just stick to the script and I won't add so much. I'll just add a few things, because if I put something down, it may go longer than I expected. That way I can get everything done.
I love it. Anybody else? One thing?
Number one. Come on, y'all, do some digging. We're gonna get y'all.
I already put mine in the chat,
That's
but I'll
right.
say it out loud. Go ahead.
I can't even see the chat. Chat is bumping. Okay, there we go. That's what I like to see. We're gonna get y'all talking one way or
You
another.
can go ahead, Brent.
I'm going to start it because we do it every morning. The team has a Zoom call where they get in and like do it in a room, and each one does their own stuff on their own time. And I'm going to start going on to that one at least 3 days a week.
Awesome. Again, a very simple thing. If you say reaching out to people or lead generation is important, but you're not currently proactively doing it, schedule multiple times in the calendar next week and do it. That's the easiest.
And they've already put those in my calendar for me, so I just ignore them. I've been ignoring them for so long.
Well, don't. Do what's on your calendar. Cool. Anybody else? Hopefully it's helpful. Is this helpful, folks? Because we're doing it so that we can help, not just so that we can hear ourselves talk. I actually hate hearing myself talk, but
I'm trying to tell you, but that's again one of the things that I must say, and you all know this. Why? Because we've been here for so long. We need you guys to show up for your business. And all too often we run into a scenario, and it's not just you all here, it's in our industry. This is the fire that burns through to me, which is why when I get in front of a crowd, I'm not afraid to make them feel uncomfortable. I'm not afraid to talk to you the way I'm talking to you. Why? Because I'm out here in the field. I know that every single training you ever attended, only 1% of the people open their mouths to ask questions. We have been, we have been conditioned to not ask questions in this industry. And this is my problem, right? And again, this is our group here. So I want you all to feel comfortable and to be able to ask. Now, again, if you're busy, then this is a masterclass where you should be engaged, full-blown engagement. Now, outside of Brent taking safari drives and hunting and doing all kinds of amazing stuff, and he contributes greatly while doing those things. We've been in a hunter's nest with Brent, listening in on a masterclass and contributing while he's lining up a deer with his scope, right? So there's no excuses, but I must tell you all very clearly that the instructor in me wants to continue to shed love and pour into you guys and give you all that I have. But the salesperson and the realtor in me wants you all to realize not only the gifts that which you've been given, but now I want to see you act on what you've been given. It's almost like throwing you into the jungle and saying, let me see what you can do. Have you been paying attention to what we've been talking about? Because I must say, I've poured hours, hundreds of hours into this space here. And I've grown tremendously because of it. And I thank you all as well for giving me this space to do it. But if you're not growing, then what is the point? And then when I ask myself, what is the point? I have to say, wait a minute, if you're not asking questions, if you're not showcasing interest, then why even be here? And that's a very dangerous thought. Why? Because for me, I'm very zero tolerance. And I want you all to have that same zero tolerance for your business. Don't just take these Fridays as a one-off. I'm gonna just jump on because it's routine. No, don't make that mistake with us here. It's very important you do not. Because I promise you, when you go and line yourself up for a training in your brokerage, in your office, you know of which you're receiving. Now, some of y'all are in great brokerages, so don't take me taking shots at your broker as if I don't love and respect what your broker does. But some of y'all, right? And this is for y'all watching this as well, right? Some of y'all got situations that y'all need to break away from. But again, it's not my place to tell you that. Okay, so as long as I know y'all heard me, or at least you see me and I'm talking, that's okay with me, because the show goes on. The hurricane must go inland, and we must become a force to reckon with. And unfortunately, if you haven't been building your foundation, you will be wiped away, and I can't do nothing to save you. Right? Next week, I'm on vacation, by the way. I want to let y'all know that. I remembered that Tuesday I'm going on vacation. So Tuesday I'm going on vacation. So hopefully Mina, you can hold it down next Friday for the masterclass. But it'll give y'all a good break. Okay. And I'm just want to give y'all a heads up. Once we start picking up production, we're already producing crazy amounts right now. But once we start doing it more and more, I want you all to now take part into those prospecting workshops. There shouldn't be no reason why we're the only folks here taking full advantage of unless you're getting crazy amounts of deals and your deals are phenomenal, then you don't need to jump in. But if you are struggling, I mean, what's the charge for the more deals now? What, 197? Is it still 197, right? For a month?
For this group, it can be, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, again, and this is, it's very important for y'all to understand this, but I'm done talking about it. I just want to make sure you guys understand where we are, how we are, and where we're headed. Cool? Cool.
Hey, can I share one thing about where deals are everywhere?
Yes.
Because while I was not on camera and not on vocals, I was paying for two occupancy inspections for 2 rental properties I managed for some of the clients. And just standing in there was 2 guys behind me, and they asked me, "Hey, are you a real estate agent?" And I told them. And they are looking to buy. They bought their first property in this town, and they're looking to buy 20 to 30 next year.
Come on. Come on. You better get on that Zoom call immediately. You set it up. You better set it up.
Yeah,
What?
they're from Texas, so they're out of state buyers who just came to look in the area.
Just like that.
So
Right
you can,
place, right time.
Just like
it's just
that.
being able to say the right thing and talk, and because they just asked by the real estate agent, and then I kind of did my own version of my value properties and everything, and how
Yeah.
tell them what I did here, what I'm doing here, what I did for these guys. And I knew the people that I knew the people that I needed to know to let them know that I have contacts to help them. So,
Perfect. And knowing that USP made all the difference, because if they asked you that question and you were nervous, uncomfortable, stuttering a little, they're gonna look at you like, nice, you're a nice guy, Brent. Thank you for your number. We're not calling it freaking idiot. You know what I mean?
and
But
it does,
you knew.
it's got to be to where it doesn't sound like I'm saying a sales pitch either. I was just telling them what I do.
Correct. Again, your style, no matter how your style is, by the way, you don't have to have it.
Yeah, everybody's got a
style like Brendan. You can have a gung-ho, aggressive style, similar to mine, where and I'm not aggressive, but I'm a lot. And I get that. It is what it is. But again, this is kind of where we need to understand of how to, that elevator pitch is very important. It's powerful because you don't know who you're going to meet. Like, think about it. If Brent was struggling, he just now met a profitable investor that can reshape his entire business. And all it takes is one time. It's going to take me one time to get on the right stage in front of the right people for this to change. And I said that plenty of times, and it has been happening. However, what I'm telling you is we must understand that you don't know when that opportunity is going to pop up. It could be at the municipality office dropping off a permit, or it could be at the grocery store self-checkout, and the self-checkout line is going down the hallway, and you just happen to be next to somebody who is happen to be looking for a multi-million-dollar house. These things don't have it's like the lottery. You don't know when it's going to hit, but when it hits, you got to be ready.
That's why when you're in lines like that, don't sit there and scroll Instagram. Talk to the people around you.
That's why I wear a suit everywhere I go. Because people be like, where are you going? You going somewhere special? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna date with destiny. They always laugh when I say every time. I was in the bathroom. I was in the bathroom at the grocery store, and I had my navy blue suit on, and this one kid like, oh man, I like your suit, man. Where you going, man? I'm like, I got a date with destiny. And he starts cracking up. And it's just funny because, again, wearing the suit, I feel like people, they may be like, why is he trying so hard with the pens on and stuff like that? But for me, I ask myself, what would the president do? Right? What would a CEO of a Fortune 500 company do? Right? How would they operate walking around town? How would they operate? Because if my mind is there, then what happens afterward? My body goes right there. My actions go right there. The way I talk, follow right behind. I'm not playing this half-assed. I'm not in it to play any games. Oh, word. She spelled her name. I was just on the phone with my girl, Destiny. Well, not your girl, Destiny. I got a friend of mine named Destiny. She spells it with a Y. Well, that's how we spell it in the dictionary, but the I is very nice. I didn't know that about you, Trisha. There you go. You got a daughter named Destiny. Why did I not know that? I don't know why. I guess we don't have a inquiry for submitting children's names in our group. Not that we would, because that's just weird, but congrats. Tell Destiny New Agent Handbook says, hey, you never told me anything like that. What? That's amazing. What? Oh, see? All right. For fun fact. We do not talk about, we don't. I'm a very publicly private person. Some of y'all have no clue about my life at all. I'm very publicly private. But that's amazing. Congrats. 7 kids is I was hopeful to get 5. I got 3, so I'm cool. Because it's a mutual decision. It's not a single decision. I can't just say, give me 2 more kids. This is not 1925. Not that they did that in 25, but I would assume it was a different layout back there. Anyway, we got all.
I like to listen to you talk yourself out of the things you said before.
I know. I'm trying to get out of that. You see how I'm itching my way out the door? Like, oh, not supposed to be in here. Let's go on here. All right. I'm gonna start the recording now because we're all good to go. 1 second.